Hiya! So today I am very excited to be launching my new book, Curses and Cousins, which is the sequel to Familiars and Foes, which you can see just behind my shoulder. So I thought the best way to celebrate today would be to share a scene from the book with you. This one comes quite early on in the story, so there's not too much to explain except that Adeline and Hemi are expecting a visit from Hemi's cousin Mimi, and this is where this scene takes place. Mimi was due to arrive home at 2 o'clock, so Adeline and Coco left the office at 1:30 the next day. They passed Kate Shepherd's ghost on the way home outside her namesake apartments. The spirit gave Adeline a nod, which she returned. Then Kate drifted away, disappearing as she did. Adeline smiled. Her hometown felt friendlier now the ghost could see her too. She still hadn't heard Kate speak, but she supposed the nod was still fairly new for both of them. Adeline arrived home at 5 to 2, which of course left her flustered. Not being early was late in her books. It seemed Mimi didn't subscribe to the same philosophy though. She hadn't arrived by the time Hemi had to leave for his shift for work, and it was nearly 4 o'clock when Adeline finally heard a knock on the door. Naturally, after sitting alone on the couch for more than half an hour, Adeline had fallen asleep again. That seemed to be her main status of being at the moment. Coco, of course, was on high alert. He raced to the door, dashing back and forth a few times to let her know there was someone there. Before she could get herself off the couch, another knock sounded, and Adeline made a half-hearted attempt at jogging over to it. She opened the door. Even if Adeline hadn't been expecting Hemi's cousin, she would have known the woman on the doorstep was his family. She had deep brown eyes, just like Hemi's, and flawless, warm skin. Adeline? Adeline nodded. You must be Mimi. Adeline was surprised to find she felt nervous and frumpy. Mimi wore a flowing dress in a beautiful mix of swirling blues and purples, perfectly matched with a large blue and silver pendant necklace. Her long curly hair was pulled back with an old... Turn page. Her long curly hair was pulled back with an old red dress tie. The effect was somewhat marred by the fact that the tie still had the label attached, a yellow tag peeking out from behind her ear, denoting that it was made by some men's fashion company. Still, she looked gorgeous. In contrast, Adeline had changed into leggings and one of Hemi's hoodies after work, and her hair, still growing out from her awful bob cut decision last year, probably stuck out in all directions after the nap. Adeline knew she was accepted in Hemi's family, but somehow nerves still popped out their heads every time she met someone new, just in case they took an instant dislike to her and warned Hemi off her forever. Fortunately, Coco had none of those qualms. He squeezed his way between Adeline's legs to present Mimi with a stuffed elephant. Mimi dropped down into a crouch, smushing Coco's head between her hands. "Oh, aren't you the cutest little thing?" Coco's tail went into double-time wagging in delight. "Come on in," Adeline said. Mimi looked up at her, and Adeline had a sense that she was just as nervous about meeting a new person as Adeline was. "Thanks," she said. "Is Hemi here?" Adeline shook her head. "He's on a late shift, unfortunately. You're stuck with me." Mimi gave a forced laugh. "All good." She leaned down to pick up her bag. The setting sun caught Adeline's eye as Mimi shifted, and she raised a hand to shield her eyes. For a moment she couldn't see anything. Then Adeline gasped as her pupils dilated and her sight returned. A wispy figure had appeared behind Mimi during Adeline's moment of blindness. The wisps took shape, coiling strands of smoke, becoming a man with a thin moustache and a receding hairline. Adeline glanced at Mimi. She didn't seem aware of the ghost behind her. The spirit looked around, his gaze seeming to pass straight through Adeline. Then he whispered something, the sound coming out as a hiss. Adeline shivered, cold suddenly. His gaze fell on Mimi, and he slithered towards her. He leaned forward, his whispering, smoky lips just behind Mimi's ear. He reached out a hand as if to wrap it around her neck. "Don't!" Adeline stepped forward, putting herself between the ghost and Hemi's cousin. Mimi looked up, startled. The ghost disappeared, leaving behind a single smoky strand brushing across Mimi's throat. So I hope you enjoyed that scene from Curses and Cousins. The book is out today, so I would love it if you get a chance to check it out. Thanks for joining me tonight.